New polling shows the Queensland Labor Government would lose the state election if it was held today.
Live now to Julia Bradley for more on this story. Good morning to you, Julia. Now, the Palaszczuk government is certainly on the verge of being toppled.
That's true, Janie. Just 14 months ahead of the Queensland state election, we've seen that exclusive Courier Mail YouGov poll with quite a devastating prediction for the Palaszczuk Labor Government in Queensland, essentially putting Labor behind the LNP on a two-party preferred basis. So the polling showed that Labor is falling behind 49% against Deb Frecklington's opposition, which is sitting at about 51% on those two-party preferred terms. It is a 2.2 swing against the government since the last state election. It could cost Labor at least 6 seats and its grip on power in state parliament. So this result, why is it so grim for the Palaszczuk government? Well, there is speculation it could have had something to do with that contentious issue of Adani, which of course gave Labor a horror showing across Queensland ahead of the federal election. Many fed up not receiving that strong enough response on the issue of Adani from Bill Shorten or Anastasia Palaszczuk. Also, we've seen recently that integrity crisis engulfing the state government here in Queensland, with the Deputy Premier Jackie Trad making that a controversial home purchase in an area where that project, the Cross River Rail project, would be running through. Of course, she was heading up that project. I spoke to some people on the streets of Brisbane yesterday, and they told me a little bit about what they think of that integrity crisis. Here's what some of them had to say.
A bit hard to believe she didn't know about what was happening, with the property, but...
Yeah, love, you're in Cabinet. You know where these things are going to be put and moved and that sort of thing.
So, Janie, just 32% of Queenslanders say they would vote Labor at the next state election to be held in October of next year. That's quite a significant drop, down from 35% at the last down from 35%. So it is quite a fall from grace for Anastasia Palaszczuk. More and more people are saying they're not as confident in her leadership. Just 34% say they're satisfied. In fact, only about 1 in 3 voters that equates to. Also quite interesting with this exclusive polling that's been released is what voters think of Deb Frecklington, the leader of the opposition. Well, in fact, they're not quite sure, according to this polling, with this polling showing that the people that are satisfied with Deb, the same amount are dissatisfied, so quite uncertain there. However, the polling does show that she is doing a little bit better than her predecessor, Tim Nichols, so a sign of positive. Also, alongside this polling, revelations that ministerial expenses have in fact jumped 36% in just 3 years. That's an increase of more than $11 million. Why so? Well, it's down to extra ministers and staff, greater office costs and additional travel expenses, which is contributing to this quite staggering hike. Janie?
Julia Bradley live in the Gold Coast. Thanks so much for updating us this morning.